Welcome everyone to the Sales Ninja Show podcast. My name is Jay. People know me as the Sales Ninja. Was a former introvert, pastor, banker, and now pivoted to high ticket sales coaching and business growth consulting. I have a special guest that I'd like to introduce you to. Is one of the high ticket sales closing stars, rock stars in the industry, one of the leading online sales trainers, incredible friend, and I'm super excited to have him here on the Sales Ninja Show podcast. And without further ado, let's bring him to the stage. What is up, Brady?
What's up, Jay? How are you, man?
I'm doing awesome. So good to have you here today, man.
Yeah, thanks for asking me to come on, dude.
Hey, I feel honored and privileged. You know, one thing that I just want to start off with, because one commonality that we had in addition to high ticket sales closing was that we're both men of faith. And I'm not sure, you know, how public you are or even how comfortable you are with sharing your faith or even letting people know in public. So I kind of put you on the spot already. What is your stance on faith in the marketplace and faith in sales?
This could be a whole other podcast, dude. I have a whole
yeah, right. We should do our own podcast on this.
Oh my God, we should. I am a huge man in faith, and until recently, I didn't incorporate that into my business at all.
Is that right? Interesting.
Yeah, I went on this really dark path. That, again, we'll talk about this later if you want, but a whole dark path that enlightened me, like spiritually, to incorporate religion and spirituality into like more publicly, like into business and everything.
Yeah.
When I did that, wouldn't you know, like business started to grow with that.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but
there are some benefits. Because sometimes people think that, you know, Christianity or even faith, especially with sales, because I was a pastor, people would be like, stop talking about money, stop talking about sales, stop talking about, you know, they thought I was greedy. And, you know, in scriptures, it says the love of all money is the root of all evil. But they thought that the love of, just the money in general, money talk was like evil. So I think the church and even people who are professing Christians, people of faith, kind of get that mixed up. So that is neither here nor there. But, you know, you are one of the leading online sales trainers who has revolutionized the way business owners, remote salespeople, and coaches connect with their clients. You know, the claim to fame, if you will, we both actually have it. And, you know, the clients and community coveted $1 million Facebook group award. Tell us more about, you know, where did it all start? You know, were you a kid entrepreneur selling lemonade at a stand? Were you selling candy and charging, you know, higher profit margins in your school? Where did it all start?
Man, I was the worst salesperson that you can possibly imagine. Like,
no,
whatever you're thinking,
come on.
I was the worst, like the worst salesperson you can possibly imagine.
What?
I hated sales, and I thought sales was, and you'd probably relate to this. Maybe a lot of people probably could. I thought sales was like manipulative and make people buy things they don't want, like all those things. So like I hated sales in high school and after high school, and I got into sales in the corporate world and started kind of working my way up the ladder with that. And I quickly realized that it's not that. Like it really is a servant's heart. It really is, if you choose it to be, right? There's a lot of sleazy people out there, but if you choose it to be, it can be very lucrative, but also very rewarding because you're changing people's lives at the same time. I forgot what your question was, but that's where I went with it.
No, where did it all start? And then I just put a quote saying, you know, I hated sales. Like that just doesn't seem to mesh together. It's like oil and water. Like you're one of the top sales trainers on the planet. You have personally enrolled 60 million. I was like dumbfounded by the number, because I was like, how much does this guy have to sell $60 million and enroll people in the coaching space? Because I know personally that is not a normal thing. That is an exceptional feat. And I want to just say congrats and, you know, high praises for the gifting of God on you, because that is extraordinary. It truly is extraordinary. So,
I appreciate that.
So you went from, you know, being, I hate sales and I wasn't good at sales. At what point did that change?
It changed when I started investing into communication. I started investing into sales training. I invested into some names that everyone has heard before. I don't like mentioning names, but I invested into a name and realized that even though I wasn't a fan of how this person was teaching sales, I realized that there's things you can invest in to better your knowledge, right? That was the first time I started investing into things. And go a little bit off topic, I quickly realized, like, after that, I started investing into different things. It led me to this path of investing probably $150,000 now into like behavioral science and nonverbal communication and hypnosis and psychology, and just the list goes on with that. And it all helped me form this new way of communicating. And I've labeled it emotional communication. But to answer your question, through all those investments is kind of what made me think, hey, there's a different way of communicating. There's a different love that I can have towards sales rather than just being sleazy and salesy on stuff like that.
You mentioned you spent. Oh, you got a little one.
Go ahead.
That's okay. Hey, family first. I'm all about family and faith. So if it's God speaking to you or your daughter speaking to you, that's okay. We go with the flow. So you said you spent or invested how much into sales, communication, and training?
Over $150,000 into just different communication practices.
Wow. So one thing that you said, I think that's different from most people I hear, is people say they invest in sales training. You said you invested into sales communication, and then you came up with this unique approach called or rooted in invisible influence and emotional communication. So that's different already from what I've heard other people talk about. Can you talk about?
Yeah, look, with most sales trainers out there, they're teaching the same thing. In my opinion, they're teaching the same thing. And I found that and you can probably relate to this, Jay, but I found a lot of sales coaches have a really great heart. And you've probably seen this as well, that they're teaching them kind of the same tactics, just regurgitated into that influencers or that guru's spin on things. And with the word sales training, you can only go so far because it's someone says this, you do this. It's very linear. Here's how to handle this objection, yada yada. And if that's happening, then everyone's hearing the same things on their sales calls because everyone's gone through the same types of sales training. So knowing that, I started going, hold on, let me really dive in deep on communication, like communication training, not sales training. Let's get communication out there. That's when I started looking at different things outside of sales, like behavioral science, for example, or that nonverbal stuff, or even government secret communication influence strategies. That's the sales training that I've invested in now.
Wow. You say the government secret stuff. Like what's that all? You got my attention.
Ooh, it's like super secret CIA level influence, brother. It's pretty cool.
I don't know if it was you or someone else that they were like learning is it FBI or CIA negotiation tactics to be used in sales. Was that you or someone else? I can't remember.
It is me. I don't know if that's me you're referring to, but I've
done
that times. Yes.
That's I saw that. And I was like, that is amazing.
Yeah, and it's really like what makes the brain tick. You know, like in CIA when they're interrogating people, they look at deeper things than surface, right? They look at like what makes the brain tick, what makes it move. Why are their eyebrows raising that way? Like, how do I influence them based on my body language and reading their body language through linguistics? So a lot of stuff they use in like interrogations and stuff like that, just kind of regurgitated into communication is what I've done with it.
Now, is there any, sales tips or tricks or hacks that you can leak from some of those coded, encrypted, secret vaults of yours, or with regard to body mirroring, tonality, eyebrows?
Yeah, there's two fun ones that everyone gets a kick out of, and it's very powerful. When you're in the physical world, okay, you're in the physical world and you're talking to a friend, you give them a handshake, right? And that handshake is really telling that person's mammalian brain, look, I'm not holding a gun. I don't have a club to bonk you on the head. Like, I'm a safe guy, right? That's what that means in their brain. And if you take that virtually, there's a way to do that virtual handshake through something called an eyebrow flash, and kind of
Ah,
showing your hands a little bit. And before I mention that, if you think about this, when you're walking down a street or you're walking down your sidewalk in your neighborhood or apartment complex, wherever you live, all the mansions for all you millionaires out there, and you see a friend or you see someone that you don't know, what do you typically do? You don't know them and you go, "How you doing?" Right? Your head goes down. "How you doing?" Now, what happens if you
yeah.
know the person? What do? You go, "How you doing?"
You, yeah, yeah.
It's weird, right? But your
What's up?
head goes up and your eyebrows go up when you know the person. Like, hey. If you don't
Yeah.
know them, it's hey. So knowing that on a sales call, if we do a quick eyebrow flash, it shows them, hey, this guy's friendly. This guy is okay. And showing your hands, I don't have any guns or any bunks on the head I can do with you, and doing them together, it just causes that instant rapport. So something like this, like, hey, Jay. Just as
I
simple
love
as
that. Hey,
simple as
Brady.
that. Yeah, and I wouldn't do this, right? But just like, hey Jay, just quickly, I don't have anything in my hands, right? And then the eyebrow
Yeah.
flash shows them that this guy's friendly. And the second one's a lot quicker. People love this one too. Is the lip compression. So let's say we've all done this. Let's say someone asks you like, "How's your day going?" And you're like, "Yeah, it's pretty good." And we've
Yeah.
all done it. We've all closed our
Yeah.
lips. And what that means is like withheld information. Like there's something I want to share, but it's withheld information. So when you see something like that on a sales call, it's quick. But when you see something like that on a sales call, you know there's something behind that statement that they're giving you. Oh, my business is going really good. Like, oh, things are fantastic over here. So there's withheld information, and that just gives me an opportunity to pierce them. So those two things, you guys take it and run with it. It's pretty fun.
That's cool. Now, when someone is doing that and they're holding back, and there's obviously different reasons, what would be a next segue or a question? Because I mean, the way that you ask questions really can help determine the sale, or break the sale.
Oh, for sure. And there's something I coined this term about 4 or 5 years ago called piercing questions. And piercing questions are how to get much deeper than surface level responses because you want someone to come in the emotional zone on your sales calls. If they stay in the surface level, nothing really happens. So asking piercing questions to get deeper is the next sequence in that. So if I do see something body language wise that I need to pierce on, then I'll just ask a piercing question. Like, Jay, let's talk about that real quick. Like what's going on with the business? I already know there's something going on because of the lip compression, right? Or if someone does say something very surface level, just a quick little piercing question on that. But why are you saying that's triggering for you? Like what's going on with that? It's so simple, but we just forget it. Like on sales calls, we forget to look for the trigger statements that we can pierce on.
Amazing. What part of this is the invisible influence? Because you talked about emotional communication, which we can go on in just a bit. The invisible influence, what is the meaning or the branding behind that?
The before invisible influence, I was telling people to act like you're having a beer with a friend, right? Just act like you're having a beer with a friend. Act like you're sharing a sandwich if you don't drink or sipping some coffee, whatever it is. And just that cadence alone on sales calls opens people up massively because it's an open environment at that point. There's no sales hat on.
Yeah.
And from that, if you add in that tonality, that cadence on the call, and you add in sequences of questions and add in psychology and hypnosis and body language, stuff like that, now it becomes invisible because you're keeping that cadence of like this right here, how we're doing it, and we're messing up on our words, like we're messing up. Like this, this is how sales calls should go, right? This is invisible influence and having a beer with a friend, but you're sequencing your questions and your body language is doing certain things to influence them in certain ways.
So that brings me to the question of hypnosis. Some people might think if you're using hypnosis in your sales, are you manipulating me or controlling me? How does hypnosis work?
So there's a way to do that, and I will not train anybody that wants to manipulate someone into doing something. I will not do it.
Yeah.
It just won't happen.
Yeah.
The way that The way that you use hypnosis is a very surface level. It's not, let me hypnotize you into doing
Yeah.
something that
That's
I
what I
want.
think. Yeah.
I
I
know
will
that's what
buy.
people think.
Here's my
Yeah,
wallet.
yeah. And then later, like, what the hell just happened? No, that's not
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
at
Yeah. Yeah.
all. It's more certain commands that you can say. Like, if I want someone to take action right now, there's
Yeah.
certain ways that I can structure my sentence to make now stand
Mm,
out to them. I'm taking action now. And I'm not going to share
I
all
see.
those
I see.
details, but that's what I mean by the hypnosis side of things.
I gotcha.
It's like embedded commands almost.
Yeah. 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 That's powerful.
Yeah, it's really fun.
So when you are selling for some of these high ticket coaches, what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced as a sales closer? You've had a lot of success, but let's talk about some of the hardships.
Absolutely. And I think this is important for everyone to hear. The hardships are learning something new and thinking that you have to implement all the new things on your next sales call. So
Mm,
someone that invests very heavily or even just likes to learn themselves, if you try taking, and I did this, and it was a big struggle of mine, I would take everything I learned and try to change the entire call, and I would completely mess it up. I was making no sales at all, right? That's the wrong thing to do. And what I realized is if you want to keep your consistent success and doing the 60 million like I've done online, you got to change
mhm,
little things every single time until you master that thing and then just add on to it,
mm.
add on to it. So that's my failures, but also turns into a success if you change those little tweaks.
So what if you got a solid close rate, and obviously you and I we're always trying to get better and better, and you're on a winning streak month after month after month. You're winning as a top closer, top cash collector, top cash collected high ticket salesperson. Do you keep going at what's working, or do you keep iterating? When you said add little things, change little things, tweak it to make it better.
I'm a freak with learning and implementing. Okay. I am
Yeah,
a freak with it. And just like you, Jay, I know you the same way. And
yeah.
for me, let's say I'm doing 81 was my average, about 81% close rate on sales calls. And I'm like, I want to try this new thing out. Me being a freak, I will go all in on this new thing. It completely ruined my closing rate the next month.
What?
Complete on purpose though, just so I can speed through it and like learn it real fast. I would completely mess up my closing rates the next month. And then I would increase it the next month to like 82%, 83%. Just those small little pivots. I mean, those small little percentages is massive on your income too. But I'm a freak with that stuff.
That
I'm
is
not your normal guy
interesting.
with that.
You're a mad scientist. Did I hear, and I don't know if the audio messed up here, but did I hear you say you had an average close rate of how much?
81%.
That is insane,
81%.
dude.
It's
That's
insane, but
that's
Jay, you're
that's
close. You're right there
that's
with me,
unheard of.
dude. You're right there
No,
with
no,
me.
that was my highest. That was not my average. My lowest was 31. My highest was 80, 81. So I guess you'd be middle of the road, like 50. But then, I was on different, what do you call it, offers, and some of them were just not good at all. But anyways, that's neither here nor there.
Well,
Let's talk about that because, go ahead.
that is a thing though, because a lot of the 81%, anybody's closing rate has to do with their offer too. Like if you have a real cold market, that
Yeah.
81% for me might be 40% in a cold market, right? I've been on
Mm,
some really
mhm.
amazing offers that have some hot leads coming in and indoctrination plus the invisible
Yeah.
influence side, but that is something to say. No caveat.
That's a very, very good point. So for all the business owners that are listening out here that, I don't know about you, but like I'm sure with your skill set, there's hundreds of people that want to hire or duplicate or make an AI of Brady McCarty. And how do we get him to close or her to close, at 50 to 80%? What kind of advice would you give to business owners before they call on someone like you? Because I know for myself, because I've gotten, opportunities after opportunities, but I don't actually take them anymore because I don't have the time and the bandwidth. I mentioned this to you in person already, but someone that is a good high ticket closer that is looking for an opportunity, what are the criteria that someone as experienced as you look for without wasting your time, if that makes sense, when you're looking for high ticket sales offers?
It makes perfect sense. And my criterias are I a credit card will not get me to work with you. Okay. What gets me to work with people is they have like a beginner's mind, right? Even though they might know a lot of stuff, like they have that beginner's mindset, and they're not stubborn enough to be looking for all the things they know and missing all the things they don't. So I want that beginner's mindset
Yeah.
where they
So
act
good.
like they know, they act like they know nothing so they can learn everything. That's kind of what I'm
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
for.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Um, so give us some highlights. I mean, if we can just flex here a little bit. I mean, I know obviously total, you did over $60 million in sales. What's like a record month? What's whether it's like revenue, cash collected, percentages, KPIs. I mean, I'm a like you, I'm a bit of a freak with like KPIs and numbers. What are some of the highlights you've been able to achieve in your sales career?
The biggest one I'm trying to beat right now is in 1 month doing $628,000. So my goal
Holy
is to,
smokes,
my goal
that's
is to hit that
insane.
million in 1 month in sales. But 628 is a big flex that I'm trying to beat right
What?
now.
Okay, so break it down. What kind of average close rates in that 1 month, cash collected, show up rates, if that all makes sense, did you have to get? And how many booked calls did you have to get to be able to do that? How many calls did you take? How many hours you work? I'm curious. How is that even possible?
Two different offers. So I combined those two different offers into that $628,000 that I was doing. And I don't know those stats on the show up rates and stuff like that. But I was
Okay.
taking 6 to 8 calls a day, five
What a
days a week.
beast. Yeah. Wow.
It's burnout. I don't suggest that to anybody because I have KPIs that I suggest on closers, but I wasn't doing that back then. So 6 to 8 calls a day and 5 days a week. And I was on a mission. Like I was head down, looking at my phone, always divorced from my family, just kind of in my phone, trying to get some follow-ups and stuff like that. But
Mm,
there's a better way. There's a better way I know
mm.
now as an influence.
How many hours would you say you would have to work to, I mean, for you at your level, you would have to work a week to build that in a month that you said you wouldn't recommend, I guess.
Well, I got two answers on that. One, back then it was about 50 to 60 hours in a week that I
Hmm.
was putting
Yeah,
in,
yeah,
which is ridiculous. There's no boundaries in that.
yeah,
With
yeah.
the new process, less is more because once you understand invisible influence and kind of seeing what no one else can see in a conversation, your sales calls drop down massively. So I went from like an
Mm.
hour per sales call to an average of 25 minutes per sales call. And
Wow.
once you do that, you can take the same amount of calls, but you're working less. So I can still take 6 to 8 calls a day, but I might be only spending like 4 hours that day or 3 hours that day doing that.
Wow. Okay. So this is a perfect segue because I'm going to tee you up for success because you're already on that trajectory, obviously. But I have people that are hitting me up that are looking for sales coaching, sales trainers, sales directors, whatever you call them, management. Let's say one scenario is an entrepreneur is doing $200,000 cash collected. Let's say, one of their 10 salespeople was not able to make a single sales within 30 days. May or may not be a true story, but we'll just build the scenario as it is.
Yeah.
And they're looking for a sales trainer like yourself. I heard you say earlier, and I caught this, is like you have KPIs for, I think you said closers. And there's certain expectations that I'm sure that entrepreneur is looking for and they're not getting. And the challenge that they are facing is that they're either sleeping on the management or they're like um, going ham, and they're kind of like one or the other. There's a polarizing effect, which is really not healthy. They need someone like you. So let's install Brady into this $200,000 business. What would you do, and what kind of KPIs? You said less is more. What would you do to this? Because I'm going to send this recording to people that I know that would be like, hey, okay, Brady's the guy. I need him. What would you say? Well, how would you implement this? Scaling and training of salespeople that are not doing great.
Yeah, thanks for teeing that up. That's actually a good conversation. I would find out like that person or persons that are not selling anything in those 30 days. A lot of times managers will come in and create the root problem. They'll say, this is your problem,
Mm,
right? And
mm,
that never fixes anything. So I want to come to the person and say, what do you feel like is going on? And have that
mm,
heart to heart with that person and see what they say and then train them up from there because that's their root problem. I need to fix their root
mm,
problem, not my root problem. And a lot of times I've even seen managers come in and it's here's your leads, here's some generic training, like go sell now, go sell my stuff. And there's no, I don't want to call it hand holding because I don't like holding hands, but there's no personal touch on what do you need help with on your sales calls, because no one's linear. Like this question may not work for this person, so we got to adjust that and train this one person up. And I think a good manager will do that with each individual person. 5 different people, 5 different approaches on their management style, or 5 different approaches on their sales calls. That's the individual.
Oh, wow.
That's what needs to happen in order to hit that from $200,000 a month to $500,000, $600,000, $1 million a month. Is doing that individual stuff.
And I know you've been on some teams. You don't need to say the teams and the names, but what kind of numbers were you guys able to tee up in terms of monthly revenue? How many salespeople did it take? Because I think there's people who are listening here that say, I'm at 10 salespeople or 5 salespeople or 1 salesperson. I'm at 50, 100, 200,000 or more a month. And how do I literally 5 to 10x with your help?
Great question. How I'm interpreting this, actually, I'm going to answer this whether it's right or wrong, but there's been teams I've been on that will have 2 salespeople doing $500,000 a month combined. So 250,000 each, right? Okay. And there's been other teams I've been on where they'll have 6 salespeople doing $500,000 a month.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So they're like the profit margin is hurting a little bit, or the marketing is hurting a little bit because they're pushing all these leads out that they don't need to be pushing out. So I think having a solid team of less is more when it comes to salespeople. Like if one person can close at 50, 60% and doing $250,000 with that one person, if I had another person in there, now I got 2 people and they're closing at 50, 60, 70%, he's doing or she's doing $250,000 a month. I've done $500,000 a month with just 2 people. So I think, again, training that one person up is the most important. But I have been on teams where we're doing $1 million, $2 million, $3 million a month, and they're massive teams at the same time. I was not managing those, so there's nothing I can do about that. But I don't like massive teams. It ruins the culture a little bit.
What would how many people would be selling on a team of people generating 1 to 3 million a month?
There's been 2 different companies that I was on with those, and one team had 6 people, one team had 12 people. So you can kind of see the math on that, how that math would work. Similar numbers, but bigger teams.
Interesting. And if a business owner were to come to you and hire you and say, I'm at $200,000, I want to get to $1 million a month, and they currently have, let's say, 5 closers, I guess if you do the money math and the KPIs, you would have to figure out, based on the people that I have in my Rolodex or, in my network, we can probably get you up to that $1 million mark, which is a 5x increase by either hiring 5 people at this KPI. Like, is that how you work? You work backwards and you kind of figure out if you want to get to that goal, it's going to take this. But then also on the flip side, there's it's going to cost you this much to hire me to help you get there. So it's kind of a 2-edged sword. Can you talk on that a little bit?
Yeah. And the hiring cost aside, what I would want to first find out is the lead flow there. And if the lead flows there, then is the quality there? And maybe the marketing side needs to be adjusted a little bit. But I like to put all that aside also and take blame on the sales, because you can always fix yourself, right? You can't fix the marketing if you're not doing the marketing. So I'll go to the 5 closers, I think you said. I'll go to the 5 closers and find out what's y'all's closing percentages. Okay, so here's the average team closing percentage. Who's below average? Let me go talk to that person and see how we can push them up, then work on the team average and getting that team average closing rate pushed up. I want to find out the team average, fix the ones that are below average, and then scale the team average up a little bit or a lot, depending on where they're at.
And how long do you help the weakest link or weakest chain, if you will? They're getting 15, 20% close rates, and you've spent X amount of time with them. At what point do you say, hey, maybe this is not the best role for you? I put a lot of time, sweat, and energy into a lot of closers, and I haven't seen the results over the last X time. So at what point do you say, we got to part ways.
Look, if I were to come into this hypothetical company we're talking about, and someone is doing 0 closes in 30 days, my mind is almost already made up on moving that person out and,
Sure.
getting some. You know what I mean? Because like if you have the leads coming in, given they're doing like 4 or 5 sales calls a day, and they can't close one, that means they're not bought in on the company. It's not the communication. They're not bought in on the company or the product. So I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I'll talk to them and train them or help them. But if I feel like they're not bought in on the company, and that's why the sales aren't there, I'm moving them out and putting someone else in that wants to scale the company.
What if they're not at 0?
I was gonna say, if they're not at 0,
okay. Sorry.
I'm gonna no, you're good. I'm gonna spend some time with them. I'll probably give them a month.
Okay.
And if they're like doing 15, 20% closing rates, I'm gonna give them a month. And if same scenario, I'm big on buy-in. If they're not bought in on me helping them, given my track record, if they're not bought in on me helping them, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. So as soon as I feel that, I'll start working my way out with them and finding someone else that can. But I'm a big believer in hire slow, fire fast, given the benefit of the doubts that everything's working out with the people that are on the team right now.
Now, when you're looking for closers, are you looking for people who are experienced and seasoned, or are you looking for people who are new and hungry?
A combination, but I'm gonna add a third one in there. I look a lot for people that are great communicators. Okay, if you can if you were brand new to sales, Jay, like you've never been in sales before, which we know you're a star and a freaking ninja, but if you were never here in sales before, I know you can communicate, and that trumps a lot of things for me. Because all I got to do is insert, here's the offer, here's the questions to ask. So that communication trumps experience in my opinion. If someone has the experience and the communication, I'm going with that more than a new person.
How do you assess? Is there like a scorecard for a great communicator? Like, I mean, a lot of people can say, hey, she speaks really well, but she sucks at sales.
All my interviews, I do God knows how many interviews with closers and setters. I don't have a script, just like we don't have a thing, talking points we're doing right now. We're just going to go with the flow. Same thing on my interviews. It's more of a communication. And if they can keep my attention like you are, if they can keep my attention, and I'm ADD, like if I see a squirrel, I'm looking out the window. So if you can,
squirrel?
If you can keep my attention, I know you're a great communicator, right? And if I'm bored or I'm like, well, this is the waste of my time, I know you're not a great communicator. So it's like a 5-year-old way of me tracking that.
You and I are so similar. One true story was, and I won't name names here because I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but when I was growing up in the church that I was at, the pastor was very monotone, and it was like a lullaby for putting me to sleep. So every single week that I would come, and he was, not only was he monotone, he wasn't a very dynamic speaker, and I just didn't take any interest. So for like, I don't know, 5-7 years, I literally just sat behind the biggest head or the biggest hair, and I would just cross my arms and just go to sleep. And then, I would wake up when the service was over. And I actually made a vow internally. I said, not to say I would become a pastor, but anything I do, I don't want to be this boring to put people like myself to sleep, because this is actually really important, but I don't find any interest in it.
That what you're saying is so I created something in the tonality space called the 6 instruments of your voice.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, the 6 instruments of your voice. And it's one of the biggest factors that I found that what makes great communicators is their voice. Like that's the common ground on any person doing keynotes, crushing it on keynotes, great coaches, great presenters. Like it's all the voice. They can be talking about nothing, but somehow have your attention. So the pastor, I think you were saying, like even that person, a lot of it is the voice. Like he's probably giving you great information, transformational information, but you're not hearing it because it's boring coming out of the voice.
Yes.
Same thing on sales calls. I put together the 6 instruments of your voice that I do in my program, and it trains people on how to use their voice as a musical instrument to get that lean-in factor.
Because I'm a musician, you can see here I got my keyboard. I'm leading worship this Sunday. Man, you should use that as a lead magnet. Here are the 6 instruments of your voice. I'm going to give you the first 3 or whatever.
I have, yeah. And people
Okay,
love
perfect.
the 6 instruments of their voice. People love it.
I love that. I love that. Offline, I would love to get a dibble dabble of any of that because that's super, super enticing for me to learn. You have a free gift because I know our time's coming to a close and we definitely need to do another episode, maybe one on faith and money. That'd be
Yeah.
fun. Tell us about your free gift and how people can learn more about you.
Yeah, there's a link that I have. Jay, do you have it?
Yeah, it's
Or
up
do you
there
want
right
to?
now. It's on the.
Oh, it's up
It's
there. Oh,
scrolling right
perfect. There
now.
it is. Love the way you got things put together, dude. You're an amazing person.
Thanks, brother.
This free gift here is for people that are on sales calls, okay? And let's say someone asks you way too early in the conversation, how much is this going to cost? And there's a way to combat that, but there's also a way to stop that from even coming up in the first place because we're eliciting that to happen. So this is about a 20-minute training on how to stop that from coming up in the first place. If it's coming up way too early, on how much is this going to cost, or how to combat that if someone does ask you that without sounding salesy or brushing them off a little bit. So that's going to help a lot. And on that same link, if you scroll down a little bit, I have a whole school community that anyone can join. It's a paid, small fee, but it's a paid community. You guys will see it there. And then all the stuff I'm talking about here is actually on that community.
And that price is going up. So if you guys want to jump in, can they get to the school community from this link somewhere on that funnel or whatever?
Yep. If you just scroll down past the training, watch the training because
Okay.
it's free.
Okay.
If you scroll down past that training, it'll be a joint community. It's $47 a month right now, and I'm pushing that to $97 a month here in the very near future.
Yeah, worth it at both price points and much higher, to be honest, because Brady is a world-class global sales communicator, amazing human being, man of faith, dad, husband, father. So, what are some last words of advice that you would give to anyone that is looking to grow their business or increase their sales conversions?
I made a reel a couple days ago, so follow me on Instagram.
Oh, yeah?
Check that out. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Brady.McCarty is my handle there. And the reel was, I get asked a lot on work-life balance, being successful and having multiple businesses I'm running and a family and all the things, like what's the work-life balance that you got going on? And a lot of that is boundaries. Like you have to have, we were just talking about this just a while ago, Jay. I have non-negotiables that I do. And I cannot schedule something on my non-negotiables. I won't do it.
Yeah.
And have those non-negotiables, have those boundaries, and the opposite effect happens. You actually start scaling your business because you're protecting that burnout that can possibly happen. So have your non-negotiables, what you're not willing to sacrifice, and stick with it.
That's pure money. That's pure gold. And I think that would be a great lead magnet to have like a mini course because there's a lot of people, I would say most entrepreneurs do not have these non-negotiables. They don't know how to set boundaries and parameters, especially with work-life balance.
Yeah.
So I 100% agree with everything that you're saying.
It would be a good lead magnet. Good idea.
It would be amazing. It'd be amazing.
What do you say?
Everyone would want it. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Take it, run with it, and then, lead people to your school community because they need your help. Thank you so much for your time. I know that, people who are watching are going to learn so much. Guys, there's a free gift. Take it, elevateclosers.com/way too early. And take him up on the offer of his school because if you wait too long, you're going to miss out on the amazing introductory offer of only $47 a month, which is going to go up to $97 a month. So on behalf of everyone, and just thank you for being here today, Brady, to share your knowledge, your wisdom, your heart. I love, that you're just that human to human, heart to heart kind of a person. And even the way that you were talking about scaling that team, which is that one-on-one approach to helping improve, that's a true heart, which is a servant leader. So thank you so much, Brady. Yeah, and until next time, guys, tune into the Sales Ninja Show podcast and hit the subscribe button. And we will see you on the next podcast. Take care, everyone. Thanks again. Massive.